I would call to order the Village of Westmont Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for its February 11th, 2015 meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fidesco?
Here.
Commissioner Pill? Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Van Buren is here. Commissioner Carmichael?
Here.
Commissioner Bartel?
Here.
And Chairman Richard?
Here.
We have a quorum.
If you would please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
While I have you all standing, please, you got to be sworn in tonight if you're going to give any testimony. So if you'd raise your right hand, I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I would ask that you silence your electronic devices, and when you come up to the podium, if you would sign in and announce your name. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our January 14 meeting.
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. A question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, the minutes as prepared are approved. Next item under open hearing is old business. A motion, I would request a motion to delay till the next meeting, planning and zoning item 14030, 515 64th Street for the subdevelopment.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Bartel. Question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Chairman Richard?
Yes. Do you want to let the public go?
Yes, I was going to recommend that.
Okay. We have a old business from the village for the text municipal code change, but we'll put that off. Under new business, planning and zoning item 15004, Hinsdale Bank and Trust regarding the Metro train station property located at 18 West Quincy for the following. A special use permit to operate an automated teller machine in the B1 Limited Business District. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. So our request to the Village and Zoning Committee is to get a special use permit to install an ATM in the train station. The ATM, we're looking to install that on the south side of the train station, and up until about a year ago, I believe there was an ATM by another financial institution on the north side. We feel that the south side is an open location, a little bit safer, also gives a little bit better advertising, and would probably gain some more use. And we'd be looking to either put it more flexible on the east side or the west side of the doors, certainly away from the doors. But for ease of use. And one of the things we would need, it'd be a cellular-powered ATM, so we wouldn't need any phone lines. The data would all be wireless. And we wouldn't need to bring electricity to the site. That would, of course, be at the bank's expense in bringing it in. This ATM would be branded under the Wintrust name, which is our parent company, and Clarendon Hills Bank. It would be co-branded with blue signs on it, but it's operated by a company called Welch ATMs. It's a company that we use, that we outsource a lot of our off-site ATMs that aren't in the bank brick and mortar buildings.
Okay, very good. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to comment on this? Seeing no public comment, we'll close the public comment. Staff.
The police have reviewed this submittal, and they have no security concerns. The Economic Development Committee also reviewed the proposal and gave it a majority positive recommendation. And if approved, our staff would work with the bank on securing the necessary building permits.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I just also add, there was an ATM at the train station in years past that operated without incident, to my knowledge.
Correct.
Okay, we'll start with the commissioners. Commissioner Bartel, if you would, please.
I'm all for it. I think the monthly revenue is positive, certainly, and it's a convenience for our commuters. The only concern, and I'm not even sure it is a concern, is the fact that it's out in the open at night. If there was any issue with someone being held up or forced to use the ATM against their will, because I know a lot of banks have that narthex or that entryway where it's locked and you get a key card. So it sounds like the safety is not an issue, and so I would be very positively a proponent of it.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas.
No, I support it. No questions.
Commissioner Van Buren.
Same thing.
Commissioner Fidesco.
I only have one question. What's the footprint of the machine?
It would be about 30 by 30 rectangular that the housing unit would sit in, and it'd be about 7.5 feet tall.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure it's one of the larger ones rather than the smaller ones.
It's the machine itself is not huge, but the housing unit helps with that. It would also
Right,
be
that's what I'm
bolted
talking
into the concrete.
Yeah,
So-
because there's been some news stories about smaller units that are like around 1.5 feet in square, or less in some cases, where people will put chains around them and, try to haul them off. It's kind of crazy, but, just want to make sure it's a larger unit that's going to be extremely difficult for anybody to do anything stupid.
Yeah, it is difficult, unfortunately, in the banking business, and we deal with stupidity all the time, that people try to commit different types of frauds in, different ways. It's unfortunate, but something that we do
Yeah,
need.
I know the other machine that was there on the other side has never had a problem, so I'm all for it.
Commissioner Carmichael.
I don't have an issue with it. I know there's one directly across the street on the south side, and it's just more convenience for everyone, but no. Good luck.
Thank you.
When you're done, I just have
Okay.
one question.
The only question I have is you're going to be affixing this quite sturdily to the concrete pavement.
That's correct.
If you were to cease using the machine there and pull it out, you're going to full restoration costs?
Absolutely. We would put it,
Will there be
we
a
would,
bond or anything on that?
There is a license agreement that I need to get to you. As a matter of fact, we had it in place with the previous ATM, and restoration is a requirement.
Okay.
There is not a bond per se, but it's a written agreement that can be enforced.
Okay, very good. Then you had a question?
Yeah, two questions, actually. Is it existing concrete that you can just bolt into, or are you pouring a new concrete
no,
slab?
it'd be the existing concrete we could
Okay.
pour into, and then when we pulled it out, we can either repair it, patch it, or if we need to take the slab out and repair it.
Yeah. And then I imagine you can work with the village to make sure there's a trash receptacle nearby, so when the receipts come out, people don't litter the train station with the receipts.
Well, on one side is that solar compactor, but that would be on the other side. Now, I mean, we could put it next to that if that's what the village chooses. I mean, like I said, we're flexible on where it can go, and that's probably a good idea if there's a receptacle already there that
Well,
we could
yeah.
utilize.
You've seen people's stupidity, as you mentioned, and people do. Sometimes if the garbage can's not there, just drop the receipt in the ground, so.
Right. And the machine doesn't automatically give a receipt. Hopefully, people have to
Yes.
choose to get it, so
Okay.
hope is a lot of times
Would you be
people.
open to investigating to see if the machine could be retrofitted to, with a refuse slot in it? If you say the actual cash portion isn't that large, if you're gonna have a huge, container housing this, maybe they could put an internal one in there.
Sure. We can talk to Welch and
If you-
see if
if you
there's.
would.
Sure.
Okay, that's all I have. Any further questions? Okay, since we have a special use, we need a reading of the findings of fact, please.
Hinsdale Bank and Trust regarding 18 West Quincy Street. Request for a special use to allow an ATM machine at the Village train station on Metro-owned property in the B1 Limited Business District. Criteria number 1, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. A previous ATM operated at the train station without issue. This ATM will provide a service to the public and is not expected to generate crime or other adverse impacts upon the public health, safety, morals, or welfare. Criteria 2, the special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. This ATM use will not produce adverse noise, light, odor, or other adverse impacts on surrounding properties. This is a business-related use which is appropriate in the B1 Limited Business District, and there are other ATMs in the immediate area that operate without incident or adverse impacts. The establishment of the special use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. Surrounding properties are fully developed, and the placement of this ATM will not impact the ability of surrounding properties to develop or redevelop. Adequate utilities, access ways, drainage, and/or other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. The only utility required for the ATM is electric service, which is readily available. Criteria 5, adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. The ATM will be placed so as to serve existing commuters at the train station. It will not be accessible by automobile and is not expected to generate new traffic congestion on the public streets. Criteria 6, the special use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located, except as such regulations may in each instance be modified by the village board pursuant to the recommendation of the Plan Commission. No variances or code waivers are required for this proposed use, and the ATM conforms to all applicable regulations of the B1 Limited Business District. Criteria 7, the proposed use meets the special conditions of Special Condition 2. The ATM will not cause appreciable traffic congestion or hazard to pedestrian safety. It will serve existing commuters and will be located so as not to interfere with commuter access to and from metro trains. Criteria 8, the proposed use meets the special conditions of Special Condition 8. The proposed ATM will provide adequate security and is not expected to result in adverse crime. A previous ATM operated from the train station without issue. The proposed ATM will have a security camera, sufficient lighting, and will be located in an open and public place so as to discourage potential crime.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement, therefore the findings of fact for special use are hereby approved and adopted. Under Planning and Zoning, item 15004, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees. Item A, a special use permit to operate an automated teller machine in the B1 Limited Business District.
So moved?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. Question on the motion. May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes, and Chairman Richard.
Yes. Okay, sir, you have our recommendation, and staff can tell you when you'll see the trustees on a Thursday evening.
Great, thank you for your time this evening.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tim.
Next item on the agenda, Planning and Zoning, item 15005. Mullane Healy Godly Irish Dance Academy regarding the property located at 212 and 212A East Chicago Avenue for the following. Item A, a special use permit request to operate an Irish dance studio in the B2 General Business District. Good evening, sir. I apologize if I misspelled the name.
No, you did fine.
Mispronounced, I'm sorry. Yes. No.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gary Healy. I'm the Artistic Director of the Mullane Healy Godly Academy of Irish Dance. I've been involved in Irish dance for nearly 30 years. I performed with Rover Dance as a principal male understudy and dance captain for 5 years. I'm also a former world champion, a registered teacher and adjudicator with On Commission Laurinki Galetcha, the governing body of Irish dance worldwide. I've been teaching Irish dancing in the Chicago area since 2002. I'm also a licensed attorney specializing in immigration and nationality law. The Mullane Healy Godley Academy of Irish Dance has been in business for the past 30 years, primarily based out of our Edison Park studio in Chicago. We also have a studio in Elmhurst, which we plan on relocating to Westmont with your approval. The school presently has approximately 175 students enrolled between the two locations, ranging from the age of 4 to 25. The Academy is probably the most decorated school in North America and is highly regarded throughout the world and the Irish dance community worldwide. The students of the Academy have garnished numerous regional titles, national titles, Great Britain, All Ireland, All Scotland, and World Championship titles. Most recently, the Academy was the first and only school ever to produce a female world champion from the Chicago area. This in and of itself was an incredible feat, considering Michael Flatley was the first male from Chicago to win the World Championships back in 1975. Our current studio in Elmhurst attracts many students from many western suburbs, such as Bow Ridge, Hinsdale, and Westmont. The school also attracts many students from the southern suburbs, such as New Lenox. The proposed location in Westmont comes as a welcome attraction to our current students and families. Furthermore, we have also outgrown our Elmhurst location, and we look forward to relocating into a much bigger space to accommodate the needs of our current dancers and dance families. The location that we propose is 212 and 212A East Chicago Avenue. We've signed a 6-year lease with the Prano Corporation. It's our intention to combine both sites and make a 2,100 square foot studio with a reception area along the front and 2 bathrooms in the back. The Academy will hold classes at the Westmont location 3 nights a week and one weekend day. During the week, the studio will open from 4 to 9 p.m. and actual times of the classes range from 45 minutes for beginner classes up to 90 minutes for the more experienced dancers. Special workshops will also be offered at the weekend, and those classes run from anywhere to 2 to 5 hours. Therefore, on the weekends, the studio will be open from 10 to 5. The Westmont location will be in addition to our 4,000 square foot studio in Edison Park, which operates 4 nights a week and on both Saturday and Sunday. The Mullane Healy Godleys has a part-time staff of 7 teachers and 1 studio manager. In most instances, 1 teacher runs the class, and parents typically drop off their students and come back at the end of the session to pick up. 1 or 2 parking spaces in the lot will be used nightly, and slightly higher number over the weekend. Our architect has also addressed any issues and concerns over noise, and we plan to put an extra layer of insulation with cork topping at the top and bottom on the neighboring sides of the unit.
Okay, very good. Is there anybody from the public who will speak on this? Nope. Close the public comment. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This use should work well in an existing shopping center, and the shopping center previously had a dance school tenant, so this seems to be a good use, and we haven't had parking concerns over the years. As the applicant mentioned, we do think it would be appropriate to install noise baffling materials on the walls, because we have had concerns from other schools in the past that share walls with other uses. So we would recommend that if the use were approved.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Carmichael.
I support it. Everything I've seen, I see no conflict or problem.
Commissioner Fidesco.
I agree. I think it's a great thing for that shopping center, because that shopping center has been, lightly, attended as far as for retail. So other businesses have operated in that, and I think this is a perfect one for that.
Commissioner Van Buren.
Is the school up and running now?
Yeah, it's been in business for the last 30 years.
No, in this location.
No,
Are you
no.
open?
No, not in this location.
The picture that we see on the front is an example of the storefront here? Is this?
Yeah, that's our current location in Edison Park.
The one in Edison Park?
Yeah.
Okay. I support it completely, no problem.
Commissioner Thomas?
It seems to be a win-win. It's a good location, and you're going to have a lot of area by combining the two addresses, and good luck.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bartel?
I think it's a great idea, and there is a dance studio that was there, so it makes perfect sense. I will warn you, that particular area, when there's a heavy rain, there's a lot of water in that parking lot. So I'm not sure what the issue there is, but it's right near where I live, so I know year after year, a heavy rain will cause literally people walking above the ankles for a while, so I'm not sure what the drainage issue is.
Yeah.
But I support your project for sure.
The only question I have, sir, do you intend to do any retail sales out of there? Where you would sell clothing,
There would be just
pants,
spirit.
shoes, et cetera?
It would be just spirit wear to our clientele.
I see.
That would be it. Not open to the public.
Okay. That's the only question I have. Okay. Any further questions by anybody? Since we have a special use request, may we have reading of the findings of fact, please?
Request for a special use to allow an Irish dance studio at 212 and 212A East Chicago in the B2 General Business District. Criteria 1, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. The proposed dance studio will promote Irish dancing and the overall health of its students. Its operations will be conducted indoors, and it is not expected to adversely impact the public health, safety, morals, or welfare. Criteria 2, the special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. The use will be conducted completely indoors, and it is not expected to generate adverse traffic, noise, light, vibration, or other adverse impacts on surrounding property owners. Provided the owner takes reasonable steps to minimize sound impacts on neighboring tenants, this use should not adversely impact neighboring tenants. Criteria 3, the establishment of the special use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. Surrounding properties are fully developed with a mix of commercial and residential uses, and this proposed use will be located in an existing shopping center in an existing tenant space. Occupying this tenant space will not adversely impede the development or redevelopment of surrounding properties. Criteria 4, adequate utilities, accessways, drainage, and/or other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. The tenant space is already served by adequate utilities. Sufficient off-street parking exists for the proposed use, and the parking lot has adequate means of ingress and egress to and from Chicago Avenue. Criteria 5, adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. The property has sufficient off-street parking for the proposed use, and the parking lot has adequate means of ingress and egress to and from Chicago Avenue so as to minimize traffic congestion on the public streets. Criteria 6, the special use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located, except as such regulations may in each instance be modified by the village board pursuant to the recommendation of the Plan Commission. This use does not require any variances from the zoning ordinance or waivers from any other code provisions, and it otherwise complies with the applicable regulations of the B2 General Business District.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement, therefore the findings of fact for special use are adopted. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees under Planning and Zoning Item 15005. Item A, special use permit request to operate an Irish dance studio in the B2 General Business District.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Carmichael, I believe that was. Okay, question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Carmichael?
Yes.
Dr. Bartel?
Yes.
Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation for approval, and staff can tell you when you'll go before the Board of Trustees.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good luck to you, sir. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business, planning and zoning item 15003, Village of Westmont regarding a zoning code and municipal code text amendment as follows. Item A, amend Chapter 14, Animals of the Municipal Code and Appendix A, Section 4.0 of the Westmont zoning code regarding allowing accessory uses of chickens in designated residential and commercial zoning districts, subject to certain regulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here to present a revised text amendment that we discussed in January at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We had a lot of research that we presented. We talked about a draft. We had input from the commissioners and from the public. And we've also had a couple emails from the public that I sent to you in advance of the meeting. Following the discussion, we came up with a few recommendations for you to consider tonight. Some of the topics that we talked about were minimum lot square footage. Rather than having a minimum size lot, we recommended having a required distance from the property line. Chicken coop distances from property lines would be, we recommended 20 feet, and they would be restricted to the rear yard only. And as part of the permit process, the applicant would need to demonstrate those distances so that we could verify them. We talked about having a minimum size hen house. Based on research that we conducted, 5 square feet per hen seemed like a standard amount, with a maximum 50 square feet. And then if it was that small, we wouldn't consider it an accessory structure. And that way, people could still build a detached garage or build a shed, things like that. A maximum 7-foot height. This is less than half of the maximum accessory structure size, which is 15 feet, and this would still allow an adult to be able to walk inside. The chicken coop would not be allowed to have more than 4 hens, and it would be required to be at 10-foot distance from a dwelling unit. This is the same requirement that we use for our accessory structures. That way, if somebody were to use heat or an extension cord, it would be a distance from the house. We recommended 4 hens as a maximum, which is typically enough for a 4-person household, and that's similar to other communities that we've seen. We'd require a $75 permit, $25 review fee, which is pretty standard. They'd be required to have maintenance similar to accessory structures. The run area would need to be fenced, so you could either use your fence on your property or you could put fencing around it. And we already have a sanitation section, and we do not allow chicken slaughtering on anywhere in the village already. And then we recommend if there are 2 violations in a 1-year period, you would need to remove the coop. If there's a total of 3 violations at any time, over a 5-year period, then you would remove the coop. And you would not be allowed to have chickens running at large. So, we also have some language cleanup, like chickens versus hens, and Attorney Zemanek and I can work on that prior to the board meeting. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Bartel.
Just a couple of things. I guess I'm hung up on who enforces the violations within a 1-year period, for instance, and how does it, where's the oversight?
Yeah, we've got a code enforcement team, and they would go out there probably primarily on a complaint basis.
Okay.
One of the advantages of having a permit process is that by getting a permit, they would be allowing access to the village inspectors to come on to their property to inspect the chicken coop and make sure it's in compliance with the ordinance.
Okay.
So yeah, our people will go out there if there's a problem and take a look and can cite them, write them up for violation of village ordinance, and if necessary, take more or take legal action.
There wouldn't be any fine money-wise associated with a violation?
There actually could be. So we've got a general provision that says any violation of village ordinances can result in a fine up to $750 a day for each day the violation continues. Code enforcement always, to my knowledge, seeks compliance first before they issue a formal violation notice and start fining. But if an owner remains non-compliant, then we go to the next step and we try and get fines.
Oh,
Right.
And then if this continues, of course, we can seek to have it removed.
So currently and in the future, our village staff doesn't drive around looking for chicken coops. So we would be, this would be on a complaint basis, and then the inspectors could go out. If the homeowner does not have a permit, then we can advise them to get a permit, meeting these regulations. If they have a permit, then our staff can look at that permit and make sure they meet our requirements and then enforce accordingly.
okay, thanks.
Commissioner Thomas?
Two things. I understand this, the permit, the cost of the permit would help with inspections and stuff like that, I think. But I think the $75 for resident is high. I think for someone who's going to be trying to have chickens, I think that's
Chickens to save money, that's pretty heavy.
high, I think, you know.
It's our standard permit fee, but we could recommend otherwise.
So if someone were building a, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if
Go
someone
ahead.
were building a detached garage, which is an accessory structure, that would be the permit fee? Okay, but you're recommending maybe something less than that?
Right, it seems to me more like a business would you charge a business or something like that.
Our fees are higher for.
I don't know.
Oh, are they? So there's a tiered.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
is a
like
tier,
houses,
but I
yeah.
think this should be lowered. I would think for just everyday people trying to do this, you know, for their kids or whatever, you know.
And we could take that into consideration when we bring it up to the.
And then the other thing is, what you said, limit of 4. I think that might be too low also. I would suggest 6. Just depending on what type of chickens you have, depends on how often they lay the eggs, how many a day. Some breeds are 1 a day eggs, and some are not. And those are my only 2. I think, again, staff did wonderful job in giving us information that, and then follow-up information also. And I appreciate that very much.
Commissioner Thomas, what dollar value would you have in mind for a permit?
Just 50.
Okay.
Just something a little bit lower, you know. I understand that like you said, we don't go on patrol, but you do need a permit in order to, for them to say that you're allowed on their property and that. I understand that. And but I just thought that 75 seemed to be, first reaction seemed to be high to me.
Okay.
That's all I have.
And basically, I think when we discuss this, a permit, the necessity of a permit would be so the village could keep a handle on who had them, and so we'd be able to maintain, make sure they're maintained.
And there's administrative costs, just like with any accessory
And-
structure,
yeah.
to review the survey and make sure they're following the code. So it's an attempt to recoup some of the staff time that's involved administratively.
True.
Talking on the fees, the write-up says $75 permit and $25 review fee.
So it's a total of
that's actually a
100.
total of 100.
Right.
And I think what you're
What
recommending
is
is.
the review?
That's the administrative staff time, right? To process the permit, make sure, look at the survey.
Check the-
Check the measurements, things like that.
Then I would suggest 50 and 25 it'd be 75 instead of 100, right?
It's an option, whether you guys
Right.
think it's reasonable.
Well, basically, to carry a permit a little bit further, I think most people would enter this endeavor with the idea of trying to save money, for one thing. So if we go too high on the permit, $100 just off, you can buy a lot of eggs for
Right.
chicken legs for
Right.
$100, you know, so maybe we can lessen that impact. Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Van Buren.
The startup for somebody that wants to do it, you know, you say this is for saving money, and I'm sure that's part of the motivation. I think a good deal of the motivation is kind of like back to nature kind of thing.
I agree.
Because before they even put the first chicken in there, and if they're gonna comply with the structure and the fencing and everything that's required, $75 is not a lot of money in the entire scope of what their investment is to get going.
Right, but if you save the money there, you can put it towards the coop.
That's true, but again, the ones we're looking at here aren't exactly the kind I grew up with.
Right. Like 5-star. 5-star coop.
You grew up with more like,
Yeah, that's
One odd one.
but anyway,
Beverly Hillbillies.
I,
job.
I don't have a problem with 75, and I don't have a problem with 50. I do appreciate your thorough research and all the input we've got on this. And I respect your draft here to the point that I would vote for it as is, but I would also vote for it if you wanted to reduce something on it.
Commissioner Fidesco.
I think I'd be in favor of reducing it to $50, only because if you look at these structures, as my fellow commissioner here said, I'm looking at these structures, and I'll bet these things are every bit of $800 to $1,500. I mean, they're expensive. They're
Double
not-
that.
Maybe even more. I don't know. I just taking a peek at those. They are somewhat expensive.
Those are on the nicer end. That isn't what you typically see.
That's the exception to the rule, I think,
Right.
by far.
Okay, well, that's what I was looking at.
Most
Those,
people are using plywood and,
Chicken wire.
or particle board and slapping something together
but
properly.
even at that, that's still going to cost a couple $100. So, and we want something that looks, somewhat decent. It's not going to decay and rot away quickly. So anyways, as far as the rest of the ordinance, as far as the number, I can go either way, 6, 4, I don't have a problem with 6, but would have a problem with 8. I think that would be a little too many. So that's about my comments.
Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Carmichael.
Regarding Commissioner Thomas's points, I don't have a problem with $75 fee, the permit fee. It costs the village, and the village isn't making a profit on these, and nor should they, but the village shouldn't lose on the cost either. I don't have a problem with 6 chickens versus 4. I would just, as an overall statement, I think Commissioner Van Buren, also, we both grew up on farms with chickens. First of all, you're not going to, it's cheaper to go to the store and buy eggs than it is to keep chickens on your property. You're not going to save money. It's going to cost you more to feed them than it is to what you get out of it in eggs. But I think more important than that is that chickens are agricultural animals. They're not pets. And it's 7 days a week they require care. And when the family wants to go to Wisconsin and visit grandma, you can't take the chickens to the kennel and drop them off. I would just hope that people who are considering having a chicken coop take everything into consideration before they take that step, because
My daughter and her family have chickens and the coop which he built, and it's in the middle there, like 3.5-star coop. It's well put together, and it is an endeavor that needs attention, and like you said, you can't. They are not pets, and they don't like the dog, and sometimes they don't like you, and you cannot. You have to have people take care of them when you go away. So it is a endeavor that needs attention.
Interesting article that, Jill, you included in the materials, I think it was out of Minneapolis, about all the kind of young people thinking this was a hip, responsible, neat thing to do. And then so many of them realize how much work it is, and we're giving up the chickens for like adoption or turning them into the agencies, and they're overwhelmed with abandoned chickens.
Right.
Okay, my turn. At a 1/3 minimum lot size, about how much of the village lots would be able to even apply for this? Do you have any idea?
I would say the majority of single-family homes are going to be a 1/4 acre or less, especially around the downtown, which is where we've gotten the most of the.
So we could be as low as 15, 20% maybe of the village?
If you went with a 1/3 of an acre, right?
Okay.
The proposal now does not have that 1/3 of an acre restriction.
It just has the distance requirements, and it's in single-family.
I think it wouldn't hurt to go down to maybe, so the average lot could have it.
That's why they deleted that and instead put the distance of the coop from the property line.
Okay.
rather than calling this the
Yeah.
third acre.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I could also support the quantity of 6 hens. That would give somebody, we had people talking last night about 1 hen per adult, 1 egg a day per person, give you your 4 eggs. So if you were to go to 6 hens, you could start out with new chicks coming along, raising new ones, and while you're getting rid of some of the old that aren't laying anymore. So they'd have something to work with. The chicken coops, now they're going to have to meet our building codes? Are we gonna, for flooring, or, no, there's no building code applicable to this?
Yeah, if they wanted to build it as large as an accessory structure, it would get treated as an accessory structure with those, but because we're saying no more than 50 square feet, we're not going to trigger all that stuff.
Okay, so as long as they're raising the chickens with the permit, they can have a coop.
Right.
What happens when they stop? What happens to the coop? Do they have to remove it? I think they should.
Somebody, I think,
Otherwise, we're gonna be with a
Right, Ms.
whole village full of empty coops. Once the people
we
think
could
this
put,
is a
that-
great
yeah,
idea,
we could add
and then
that,
they
that
stop.
once it's no longer used for, well, like, no more than 90 days, it could be,
Yeah, or
Removed.
6 months or
Yeah.
something.
Well, they could put their bees there then.
Well, if they don't renew their permit.
Put their dogs in.
This is,
It's a one-time
it's a
permit.
one-time
one
permit.
time, yeah.
Gosh.
So
That's not a bad suggestion.
I
Yeah,
think there should be a time limit once they cease the chickens,
Mm-hmm.
because you know everybody's gonna jump into this, gonna be a great idea, going back to Mother Earth, we're gonna store all the carbon and, you know, and the world would be a wonderful place, but then reality's gonna bite them in the butt.
I mean, last month we saw a chicken coop that had been there since, I think, the 40s.
Oh, boy. See, that's what you
Yeah.
don't want to have, is these deteriorating buildings. That's what
Yes.
we have to be very careful of. Do we know how many people have chickens now, or have,
I've heard theoretically,
I mean, just
there's
a
a,
ballpark?
I would say, we know of about probably 3 to 4.
Yeah. See, it's going to be a small number, even with the people jumping on the bandwagon, I would guess.
Yeah. And I also think that we could cut down, in fact, I could even go to a $25 permit and a $25 fee, but if everybody decides on 50, I'll go along with that too.
Yeah, at least,
But I think
let
70
let the village at least get closer to a break even on it.
Yeah. But I think 75 right off the bat is a little high.
I would agree. I think
Me
for
too.
people that are raising chickens, we don't know who they are, but I think if we can recoup the cost of the administration processing them, and it's a wash, I would be comfortable with that, whatever that is, whatever we could.
How
see
many
in the
hours
budget.
does it take to process the permit and the review? I mean, you've got 2 different parts to the cost, you know,
Sure.
and I don't think it's going to take, personally, I don't think it should take more than, you know, a half hour on each.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
I
think
would
we're
guess it
covering-
wouldn't typically take more than an hour, but you do need to, see where it's located, check the zoning district, measure,
Right.
confirm all the measurements are correct.
And you'd be
You know,
Doing that, we don't, I would think that we could cover our costs.
You'd be surprised, though, and Jill, you'd know this better than I would, but when someone comes in and wants to ask about the chicken regulations and getting started and question after question after question, it's like an hour and a half
Long
later.
time.
Sure.
And you haven't even gotten to processing the permit yet,
Okay,
so,
I'll give you that one.
yeah.
And we'll be developing, a sheet to hand out so that people will have something to go off of to
That
make
was
it
my
easier.
thought, is to just have it written so that you can give it to them and highlight the bullet points,
Yeah.
and then have it all there, so.
And until then, whenever they come in, you're just doing your job anyway and giving out information.
Yeah.
Any further comments?
Is there consensus on the number of hens and the fee? Is it 50 and 25 for the fee?
That's what I would go with.
50 and 25?
I'll vote against the 50, but.
No,
I'm
I
not-
would,
I'm-
I would still go for $50 for the fee and 6 chickens.
Yeah, 50 and 6 is okay with me.
That's fine.
I can
Now, when you say
compromise.
50, that's going to be for the permit and then $25 for the...
Correct, for the review, so it's a
For the
total of
review,
75,
okay.
because
Okay.
otherwise, I think we're going below our costs.
Right.
Okay.
You mean we're going above our cost on all the other permits?
No, I
No.
don't think so. I think we're giving up a lot on those other permits because it takes a lot longer to review those.
Yeah, they're different types of things, right. Buildings are different.
Right.
Any further comment? John, you happy with our recommendations?
That's up to you guys.
He doesn't get a vote.
I don't get a vote. I have all the information
You've got it
needed
all.
to
That's what I
draft to
mean.
help with
You've
the
got it
ordinance.
all.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees under Planning and Zoning Item 15003, Item A. Amend Chapter 14 Animals of the Municipal Code and Appendix A, Section 4.05 of the Westmont Zoning Code regarding allowing accessory uses of chickens in designated residential and commercial zoning districts, subject to certain regulations, of which copious notes have been taken by the attorney.
Correct.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Bartel, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. Question on a motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Carmichael?
No.
Commissioner Bartel?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
And Chairman Richards.
Yes.
Okay.
You have our recommendation.
Thank you. We'll take it to the village board. It will probably be going March 5th.
Very good. Staff, anything further?
We had a very nice article in the Suburban Life about the beekeeping ordinance that was
Yeah.
recently
Yeah.
passed last week.
Very
So,
nice,
Yeah, I
yeah.
passed that out for everyone's review.
Yeah, very positive.
Yeah.
Any further commissioner comments? Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Van Buren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.